Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Boutique Bookkeeper Show. I'm your host, Megan, and if you use Shopify for your boutique, you are not going to want to miss this episode because today we're going to be talking about the reports that you need to become familiar with inside of Shopify. Shopify to date has over 150 reports available to you, and you can even build more with their custom Shopify QL report builder. But today, we're just going to be talking about the 3 reports that you need to become familiar with to help you with your bookkeeping and taxes. These are the only 3 reports I look at on a regular basis for all of my clients, and I'm also going to be talking about the best way to get the numbers from these reports into your bookkeeping so your bookkeeping is accurate. So, let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Boutique Bookkeeper Show, where we take the mystery out of your money and make your numbers make sense. I'm Megan, virtual bookkeeper and bookkeeping coach, and I love helping female boutique owners just like you finally feel confident about the financial side of your business. If you're tired of feeling anxious every time you have to open QuickBooks, or if you're making sales but constantly left wondering, where did all that money go? You're in the right place. We'll cover all things bookkeeping and taxes, all in plain English, so you can be less intimidated by the numbers and finally start to use them to help you grow a profitable boutique. So, if you're ready to stop avoiding this whole numbers thing and start keeping more of the money you make, grab your coffee and your calculator and let's dive in. Without a doubt, Shopify is one of the most, if not the most popular point of sale system for small business owners and independent retailers. Whether you have a brick and mortar or you operate strictly online, Shopify is definitely one of the top options out there. But there can be a lot of confusion about how to get the information and the numbers from your Shopify system into your bookkeeping records, right? Like what numbers do you actually need and which reports do you need to be looking at? Well, today I'm here to tell you. But before we really dive in, I just want to say if you are using QuickBooks Online for your bookkeeping, which I highly recommend, FYI, please do not use the free integration that's available to connect your Shopify to your QuickBooks, okay? It will make a mess of your bookkeeping. I have cleaned up so many QuickBooks accounts for clients that have already connected this, and they have unfortunately experienced this the hard way. At the end of this podcast episode, I'm going to tell you the quick and easy way to get the accurate numbers from Shopify into QuickBooks so you know your bookkeeping is accurate, but please do not connect them using the free integration, okay? So now that little disclaimer is out of the way, let's dive in. All right, so we're going to be talking about the 3 different reports in Shopify that you need for your bookkeeping and taxes. The first 2 that we are going to talk about are in regards to your bookkeeping and your income taxes. So when you file your annual income tax return each year, you are responsible for reporting all of your income and expenses that you have earned and paid in your business during the year. It's important for you to understand that the deposits that you receive in your bank account, whether that's deposits from Shopify, PayPal, cash, or whatever the payment source, that is not the same as your income. The income-related numbers that you need to get from your Shopify are all available to you inside the Finances Summary Report. So if you are in your Shopify under the Analytics tab, there's a Reports tab, and this is where you're going to find those 150 plus reports that are available for you. So if it's not right at the top, there is a search bar where you can search for Summary, and you should be able to see the Finance Summary Report available there. Once you click on that report, there is a date range filter right towards the top where you can easily filter for whatever date range you want. If you just want to see yesterday or last month or last week, you can easily change it there. But there are going to be 3 areas in this reporting dashboard that you are going to need when it comes to your bookkeeping and taxes. In the top left-hand area, there's going to be a box there that says Total Sales Breakdown. And from this box, you are going to need the following numbers. You're going to need your gross sales, which is your full purchase retail price of all of the products you have sold. There's discounts, which self-explanatory, the discounts on those products. Any returns that you processed if your store policy allows for returns. Then the next line is net sales. That really just adds up the 3 lines above that. But directly below net sales is shipping charges. That is shipping income that you have received, that you've charged to your customers, that they have paid you to ship the items. I like to break that out separate from gross sales just because it helps you see, what you earn from direct product sales versus shipping sales. It's just more information in your reports. Return fees. I've actually never had any clients that have had any amounts in return fees. So to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure what causes numbers to be in there. But the next line is taxes. This is going to be sales tax that you have collected from your customers. And it's important to know that the tax you collect from your customers, you do not need to report that as income. That is not your income. That is the state's income. You are just serving as the middleman in between your customers and the state agencies. That is another one of the reasons why the money that you receive as deposits into your bank account does not equal your income, because it also includes the sales tax that you do not need to include as income. So those are the numbers that you need in the finance summary in the first box, the total sales breakdown. There's also going to be another box. Typically, I think it's in the middle bottom of your screen, but it's currently labeled Payments by Gateway Summary. Now, I know Shopify is always kind of updating everything. They actually just totally redid the layout of this report earlier this summer. So that's where it currently is. It might change, I don't know. But the Payments by Gateway Summary box there shows how all of the payments were collected. So in the box that we just looked at, the total sales breakdown where it gives gross sales, discounts, returns, all of that, the Payments by Gateway Summary shows how those payments were collected. So it'll tell you if it was received by Shopify payments, Shop Pay installments, Shop Cash, maybe just straight cash if you have a brick and mortar, or pop-up if you accepted cash or check payments. Maybe it was a gift card payment, or maybe you have Sezzle or PayPal integrated as well. That is where it'll give the breakdown of how all of the payments were actually collected. And then two other numbers that you might need on this report. There is a little box currently on the right-hand side where it says net sales from gift cards. So I, again, like to break out any gift card sales separate from product sales. So that's where you'll be able to get that number. And then in the gross profit breakdown box, that's where you'll be able to find your cost of goods sold. As long as you are entering product costs in all of your inventory items, which I highly recommend that you do, that's going to be the best way for you to see your actual profit margins on your product. But this gross profit breakdown area is where you're going to be able to see your cost of goods sold related to all of the products that you have sold during this time frame, whatever date range you're filtering for. So this finance summary report is the number one report I look at every single month for all of my clients. And when I am entering their bookkeeping information in QuickBooks, this is where I get most of the numbers that I need. I enter all of the gross sales, the discounts, returns, shipping charges, taxes, cost of goods sold, gift card sales, along with all of the related payments, how those payments were made. All of those numbers I enter in what is called a summary journal entry, and I create a template in my QuickBooks account for the journal entry. I type in all of those numbers that I previously mentioned in this episode, and I hit save. I do not ever rely on the free integration between Shopify and QuickBooks because I promise you it will make a mess. If it hasn't already, I can almost promise you and guarantee you that it will make a mess in the future. So please do not rely on that integration and use the summary journal entry method to just type in all of the numbers that I just told you. It literally takes 2 minutes each time you do it. And for me and all of my clients, I enter all of these numbers on a monthly basis. So at the beginning of a new month, I run this report for the prior month. I plug in all of those numbers and I'm done. I just entered a month's worth of sales data in about 2 minutes. All right, so that's the first report, and that's what gives you, 95% of what you need for your bookkeeping. But there is a second report that you need to make sure that you look at every single month, and that is how you get your processing fees that are deducted from your payouts. So that is another reason why you do not want to rely on just the deposits made into your bank account and recording that as your income. One was the sales tax. We already talked about that. But two, the Shopify payouts are already deducted from what you receive in your bank account. And if you just record the deposits as income, you're going to be missing that tax deduction. So the second report that we are going to look at, if you are in Shopify on the left-hand column, you're going to go to the Finances tab. Underneath that, you're going to go see Payouts. And then in the upper right-hand corner, once you're there, there is a little button to say View Order Transactions. Once you have that report open, you also have the option to filter again for whatever date range. So for me, when I'm working on all of my clients, again, I do this on a monthly basis. I will filter for last month, and then I will click the export button and I will export this report directly out into Excel. Because in this report, you can see the transaction date, the payout date, the gross amount, the fee that was deducted, and then the net amount. So the report as it is, it does not automatically total up that fee column for you to show you the total transaction fees that were deducted. But if you export it to Excel, you can easily total up that fee column to see the total processing fees on all of the payments that Shopify has processed for you that month. Now, just keep in mind that this is only going to be the processing fees on payments that Shopify has processed for you. So the Shopify payments, the Shop Pay installments, the Shop Cash, those are the only processing fees that are going to show up here. If you accepted payments via PayPal or Sezzle, you are going to have to go to those separate platforms to see the fees that they have charged and deducted from your payouts. This order transaction report is also going to be extremely useful when you are reconciling your Shopify payments. So I have seen more and more boutique owners in different Facebook groups concerned because Shopify is maybe withholding their payouts or they didn't receive money they were anticipating. This is the report that you need to be able to reconcile and match what you've actually received in your bank account to what Shopify has processed for you. And if you are using QuickBooks for your bookkeeping, it's super easy to do a full month's worth of reconciliation using your QuickBooks software and this order transaction report. Because in this report, you can total up the total fees. You can verify the gross amount column should match what we saw in your Shopify summary or the finance summary report, the total of the Shopify payments, the Shop Pay installments, and the Shop Cash. Those three totals on the Finances Summary tab should equal the total amount on this order transaction report. This order transaction report also might have a couple different adjustments. If you ever had customers that paid via the Facebook or Instagram shop, they will actually deduct the sales tax that they collected from your payout. So this order transactions will show any of those deductions, and then that will also allow you to catch those and record them in your bookkeeping as well. If any customers ever charge chargebacks or ask for a chargeback or whatever, however you say that, if there are any chargebacks against you, they will also show up here on this order transactions report. All right, so those are the two reports that you are going to need when it comes to doing all of your bookkeeping for your income tax purposes. Now, obviously, if you have a boutique, you are probably selling some type of taxable products in a state that charges sales tax. Again, probably most of you. I know not all states charge sales tax on clothing or things like that. So maybe this doesn't apply to you, but chances are most of you have to deal with sales tax. So if that is you, this third report that we are going to talk about is going to help you out when it comes to filing your sales tax. And I know that sales tax is probably one of the most confusing topics when it comes to the retail industry. So if you have specific questions on sales tax, I do have a previous blog post that answers a lot of those different questions that I hear. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to findingfreedomfinancial.com/33, and you can learn a little bit more about the sales tax requirements for you as a boutique owner. But for now, we are just going to talk about what report you need when it comes time to actually file your sales tax returns. There are actually two different reports that are possible, and it does depend on what level of Shopify you have. So if you pay for the Shopify tax or Shopify sales tax in your subscription, you will have access to a report called the United States Sales Tax Report. And to find it, it's going to be under that Analytics and Reports subtab again. You can search in the search bar for tax and see if it comes up. But if you have the Shopify tax enabled, you should have a United States Sales Tax Report. If you don't see that one, you should also have just called a straight taxes report. That is also a sales tax report. The United States Sales Tax Report is better because it does give a little more detail on all of the different transactions. So the United States Sales Tax Report does break out your sales by the jurisdiction, so the state, county, city level. It will show you the taxable and non-taxable sales. It will actually give you the jurisdiction code that sometimes makes it easier to file for your state. It will give you the sales tax on products versus sales tax on shipping. There's just a lot more information available in that report. So if you have that one available, use that one when it comes time to file your sales tax report because it will give you all of the numbers just a little more easily accessible. But if you don't have that option, there is another option that everyone should have access to. It's just called the taxes report. In that report, it does give you the different jurisdictions. So the state, county, city, government agencies the sales tax is collected for. It does give you the rate, and then it does give you the total tax collected. But unfortunately, it does not include the taxable sale amount, which a lot of states do request when it comes time to actually file your sales tax return. So you just kind of need to do a little math. I recommend exporting it to Excel and doing the math there. But to find your taxable sales, you just take your tax divided by the tax rate to get you pretty close to the taxable sale amount. It's not going to be perfect just because of rounding, but that is unfortunately kind of the best that you can do with this report. All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. Those are the 3 reports that you need to help you with your bookkeeping and taxes. Just again, to review, it is the finance summary report, the order transactions report, and then either the United States sales tax report or just the taxes report to help you with your sales tax. And I'm just going to say this again, as I mentioned earlier on, please do not ever use the integration to get your Shopify numbers into QuickBooks Online. It does way more harm than good. So in order to get all of the numbers from these reports that we talked about into your bookkeeping, please use what's called the summary journal entry method, and it's going to make your bookkeeping just so much easier, and it's going to guarantee that the numbers you have in QuickBooks are actually accurate. If you want to see all of this laid out in a step-by-step video format, then I would love to welcome you to join the Bookkeeping Made Simple for Boutiques course. This course gives you everything that you need to know on how to set up QuickBooks Online to helping you save time as you try to stay on top of your bookkeeping each and every month. It shows you exactly how to get all of these numbers we just talked about into your bookkeeping. It talks about reconciling all of those different payment processors to make sure Shopify or Sezzle or one of these other payment processors aren't, holding on to your money, that you're actually being paid everything that you are due. This course walks through all of that. And it also includes a private Facebook community where we have monthly live Q&A calls, and you can come and ask all of your bookkeeping and tax-related questions. If you are interested in learning more about that, you can find the link down in the show notes. If you're not quite ready to commit to QuickBooks Online, but you still need a simplified method to capture all of these different numbers, I also have an income and expense tracker bookkeeping spreadsheet available specifically for Shopify owners. And in the same way that the journal entry method in QuickBooks, you just plug in all the numbers from the reports we talked about, I have built this spreadsheet so you can do essentially the exact same thing. Grab those reports, plug in all of the different numbers there as well. So if you're interested in that, you can also find the link to that in the show notes as well. And my inbox is always open if you guys have questions trying to decide, which option may be best for you at this time. All right, that's all I have for you guys today, but make sure you tune in next week for another episode of the Boutique Bookkeeper Show. I'll see you there. Hey there, and thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that I shared something that helped you feel just a little bit more confident in understanding all the numbers in your boutique business. If you found this helpful, don't forget to go and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That's the best way for other boutique owners just like you to find this podcast so I can help them feel just a little bit more confident in their numbers as well. If you have any questions about what you heard today, hop on over to Instagram and send me a DM at Finding Freedom Financial. I'll be back again real soon, but in the meantime, go implement or take action on something you learned today. I promise your future self will thank you.